What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my team selection for the upcoming Game Week 20. So Game Week 20, a quick turnaround from Game Week 19 to Game Week 20. So I'm going to start off with the quick review and the final rank from Game Week 19 and show you guys the results from last night. Then I'll turn my attention to all that Game Week 20 goodness. Are we going to be bringing Alvarez in and captaining him without Erling Haaland? I'll show you guys all that good stuff shortly. Then I will take you guys through my final team selection heading into that Game Week 20 deadline, so make sure that you guys are locked in. Now if that's something that you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So firstly, let's go over the quick review of Game Week 19. As you guys can see, unfortunately, was going to be a red arrow to 225k, and that's because we scored only 36 points and had a Game Week rank of 5.7 million. So Game Week 19 was definitely not the game week for our FPL team, about a 50 to 60k red arrow, which ends our train of a pretty good rank upgrade. Now at least we have 2 free transfers to deal with this, 7.3 in the bank, so upgrades can be definitely made on my starting 11. Now let me know how Game Week 19 went for you guys. I've seen a lot of good scores for this game week, a lot of green arrows. How was the game week for you guys? Was it a red arrow, a green arrow, and where are you guys sitting in the overall ranks? Now let's see where those 36 points came from, and definitely not from our bench this week, as I did bench Areola. Now I think it's the second game week in a row that Areola has got points on our bench. So you guys know what's going to happen when we start him for Game Week 20. He's going to go back to not knowing what a clean sheet is. Now 100% I'm fine with this though. I was always going to bench him. I thought that Arsenal would score. I own a suck in my attacking department. I wish that Arsenal scored, but their West Ham defense seems to be improving over the past 2 game weeks. In terms of the rest of our team though, Lascelles with 0 points. He missed out with injury, wasn't even in the squad. Konza conceded 3-2 United. Also racking up a yellow card, taking him to 0 points. And finally Cole Palmer was suspended. Now because I benched Areola, I was going to have Dubravka on my team, regrettably with only 2 points. Quite a large downgrade from Areola's 10. Now Newcastle's defense is going the opposite direction to West Ham's. It's going downhill. They haven't looked very secure over the past couple of game weeks, but at least some of their options are coming back from injury. Now our entire backline featured last night, and you guys would have seen that I was pretty hopeful of North London keeping some clean sheets. That wasn't the case though. Spurs lost their clean sheet, Arsenal lost their clean sheet. At least Pedro Porro racked up an assist right at the end. So in kind of a shock win for West Ham, I thought there was a chance they would score, but I thought that Arsenal would probably have enough to win this game. That wasn't the case though, and it was 2-0 to the good, the same amount of points of Saliba and also Gabriel. So basically Arsenal losing the clean sheet cemented the red arrow because these two were the kind of lowest owned options out of the rest of my team, so them losing the clean sheet really wasn't great. Then with Pedro Porro, he conceded 4 goals but still racked up 2 bonus points, insane. Don't you know how that happened? The same I guess with kind of Trent getting a yellow card and still getting 3 bonus points. But I was a little bit happy about this one as I did own Pedro Porro. Now the classic line is we own Pedro Porro for not his clean sheets but for his attacking returns. And with no fit centre backs at Spurs currently, they might have to continue for a few game weeks. Now moving on to our midfield department, the only 2 options that featured last night was Son and also Saka. Son racking up an assist also quite late into that Brighton loss, where Saka was nowhere to be seen. So Saka continues to be one of these options that hasn't really scored many points in the previous game weeks. I'm probably going to keep him though, the fixtures look strong. I'm losing midfielders at an increased rate with AFCON and the Asia Cup, so I think he'll survive a few more game weeks. Then with Son, as mentioned, quite a late assist in that loss to Brighton. Don't you know what Spurs were doing? Don't know if Brighton were just defending well at the start or Spurs were playing pretty badly, but I guess that assist kind of saved him. He was the highest scoring midfielder though out of Anthony Gordon, who was pretty disappointing, was yellow flagged or orange flagged yet again, and he racked up only a yellow card in that fixture, and then Mo Salah ended up blanking. So I guess Son was the better option to go for in terms of Campsy, but there was only kind of 2 points difference anyways. But those 2 points could have been massive in this game week. Now front line, you guys already seen, it was Dom Solanke, Watkins and Archer. Archer returning an assist, Solanke getting a goal, but they were probably our best performing department. So as you guys can see, kind of self-explanatory why we got a red arrow, not a lot of returns this game week, pretty disappointing. Let's hope that Game Week 20 is a lot better. But it's because I had a red arrow doesn't mean that you guys did. Comment down below, flex if you want to, how big was that green arrow if you guys got it, and where are you guys sitting in the overall ranks. I'm going to go on to my transfer plan, which has been quite complex, I won't lie. The reason for this is that Erling Haaland is confirmed out for Game Week 20. Obviously, I've saved that money in the bank, 7.3 in the bank to afford him if I wanted to. And because he's going to be missing, I have to make a transfer with my 2 free transfers. So the first plan that I am looking at, the almost popular move, the template move for this week, is going to be bringing Julian Alvarez in. And the reason for this is I'll be bringing Alvarez in if I want to captain him, as I do believe it's a standout fixture for the game week. So basically how you guys can think of this, if Erling Haaland was back for this game, you definitely want to captain him. So surely as like-for-like replacement, you also have to want to captain. So that's why Alvarez is a popular option this week, and he's also going to be on my mind, and if I do bring him in, I probably will captain him. Now my replacement will be for Cameron Archer, who's the cheap option in my forward department. I want to keep Dom Solanke, I also want to keep Ollie Watkins, so unfortunately Archer's on the way out. Now if I do only this transfer, I will therefore bench probably Anthony Gordon against Liverpool. I'll change my formation to go for a 3-4-3, but I'll showcase that shortly. So this transfer is kind of the template one, most people are looking to bring Alvarez in, but there is another move that I might have in mind. So I mentioned this in my transfer plan yesterday, but I might actually look for a Man City midfielder instead, and that's to be Phil Foden, obviously in for Gordon. So at the current moment, Gordon's probably my only concern out of my starting 11. I just believe the Liverpool fixture isn't too great. They then face Man City next week, Aston Villa after that. But the tough thing is after that run of 3, the fixtures actually look pretty good. But as mentioned, Anthony Gordon the only concern at the moment out of my starting 11, and therefore if I was to make only one free transfer, and I want to play a 5 in midfield, Phil Foden could be on the way in. Now the only tough thing about this is, will I captain Phil Foden if I do bring him into my squad? I guess if I was considering captaining Alvarez, I might as well captain Foden, but I do believe Alvarez is the better Campsy option. He's just on penalties, on other set pieces, so the assisting threat is going to be there, and as the focal point in that attack, he might be the better asset. The thing I like about Phil Foden though is if I do look at my transfer plan for the future, how I'm going to pencil in the move to bring Haaland back in is probably downgrading Son and Salah when they go to AFCON in the Asia Cup. I therefore use that money to upgrade Archer to Haaland with enough money in the bank. So therefore if I do go for Alvarez this week, I'm losing Alvarez if Haaland's back in a few weeks time. But if I do go for Foden though, I can keep him when I do go for Erling Haaland, as I can still do that Archer to Haaland transfer. So almost how you guys can think of it is if I do go for Alvarez, I'm going to be replacing him in a few game weeks anyways, and therefore I'm going to use an extra transfer than if I went for Foden. I guess what it comes down to is, do I want to captain Foden over Alvarez? Do I believe that Alvarez Campsy is worth more than Foden? And do I actually want Phil Foden for the future game weeks? Now the big thing about Man City is that in game week 25, it's likely that they will have a double game week. As far as I know, it'll be Chelsea at home versus Brentford, and although that might not be the best double in the world, it's still a double game week. Now what you guys might also be asking is, yes, I can actually do both these 2 free transfers. I can do Alvarez in, I can do Foden in, but then I'll have to bench Dom Solanke, which I'm not too fond of. So comment down below, out of these 2 transfers, which do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer the Foden in move for Gordon, or do you prefer the Alvarez in move for Archer? Also out of those 2, who's the better Campsy option in your mind? Or do you actually prefer going for someone like a Salah or a Son? I think if I was to go for Foden in or Alvarez in, I would captain whoever I do bring in, and that's why the Alvarez move actually might be more likely. Now I just want to put this transfer out there because if I don't think that Man City are the best Campsy options, if I'm going to go for Salah anyways, I might just go for a more sensible option, and that's Richarlison in for Gordon. I probably want Richarlison in anyways in a few game weeks time. I could go for Jared Bowen for this week, but I do prefer the Bournemouth at home game, and I expect Spurs to bounce back, even though Bournemouth have been defending pretty well. So as mentioned, this transfer only will be done if I do believe Man City assets aren't worth captaining. If I was going to go for Salah anyways, I think Richarlison in is a perfectly fine move, but I do prefer the punts on the Man City assets. So let me just conclude my transfer plan for you guys. If I do think that Alvarez is a better Campsy option, and I do think he's actually worth this week a transfer in the future, I'll therefore go for him and bench Anthony Gordon. But if I do actually like the structure of going for Phil Foden this week, if I want to keep him for the upcoming double game week 25 anyways, and I think he's a fine Campsy option, I can go for him and play a 3-5-2. But if I'm going to captain Salah anyways, is it even worth going for Alvarez and Phil Foden this week as kind of short-term punts? And then Richarlison or Jared Bowen could be the assets I bring in. But I guess the only thing that might be concrete is using one of the 2 free transfers, as I believe rolling a transfer for next week to take out Salah or Son might be more valuable. So that's just my transfer plan. I'm going to be going through a couple of the assets. I won't be doing a deadline stream tomorrow, but I'll be giving you guys the updated squad before the deadline. But let's see what it could look like. So now let's go over the actual team selection dependent on what transfer I make in game week 20, and I'll be discussing the actual variations that might happen. So let's go over the absolutes at the moment. There's a little bit of a benching dilemma though, so hopefully you guys can help me out on that one, and it's going to be in our defensive department. So as you guys can see, I am benching Konza against Burnley at the moment. I do actually think that Aston Villa have a great chance of a clean sheet here, as Burnley haven't been too great from an attacking point of view. So when you guys do see my back line, just let me know if you would play Konza over any of them, because I am actually quite tempted. Other than that though, Lascelles isn't back from injury yet and he has Liverpool anyways, and then Archer has Man City. Now in terms of our goalkeepers, you guys will see that Dubravka's going to be on the bench against Liverpool. I'm actually playing Areola against Brighton. Now as I mentioned, Areola this week is probably going to forget what a clean sheet does look like, and his fun time on my bench has come to an end. Now I actually believe that Brighton and Liverpool probably will both score, but the chance of a clean sheet might be slightly higher for West Ham. You guys can also play Dubravka though, and hope that he racks up a few save points, as I think Liverpool might be dominant in this fixture. But now let's go on to our back line, and where the benching dilemma does come into account, currently I'm playing Pedro Porro against Bournemouth at home, even though I do believe that Bournemouth have been attacking well. So do I think that Pedro Porro keeps a clean sheet? Probably not, but as we said, we keep him for the attacking returns. But is that enough to kind of play him over Konza? I then got the double up of the Arsenal assets, Gabriel and also Saliba against Fulham away, and even though I lost the clean sheet last night, I do still have faith in that Arsenal defense. So I guess the big question is, would you start Konza over any of this back three? I could actually split the odds, bench one of Gabriel or Saliba and play Konza, but I think the double up might come good this game week. But I guess it's a good kind of dilemma to have. Which of the four would you guys play though? Classic kind of benching headache. Now I'm going to go over our midfield department at the moment. It's going to be Mo Salah against Newcastle at home. I know Newcastle haven't defended that great over the prior game weeks, but I just believe they're going to pitch up for this tough clash. So I do think Salah's a fine captaincy option, but in my opinion, I think this might be quite a close one, and that's why currently I'm not looking at captain him. The same I guess about Son. Bournemouth have been defending well at the moment. I do think Spurs will bounce back though. I expect them to score in this fixture, but because Son's no longer the striker, I think his upside has gone slightly down. We then have Saka against Fulham away. On paper, he should score in this game, but as you guys know, Saka hasn't been in great form. So let's see if Arsenal bounce back from their loss against West Ham. Then finally, our star boy Cole Palmer is back from suspension. He has Luton away. This is a fine fixture on the cards. I definitely be playing him. And fingers crossed he's still going to be on penalties. Now I'm going to take a break at the moment from midfield department because there are a few variations I want to talk about. Let's complete our forward department at the moment. It's Dom Solanke against Spurs and Watkins against Burnley. So you guys saw last night that Brighton kind of tore that Spurs defense apart. I'm hoping that Solanke does the same. Just a ridiculous asset at his price point, so I'm definitely going to start him. Then with Ollie Watkins against Burnley, great fixture on the cards here. Burnley aren't that great, especially defensively. And I think that Ollie Watkins might even be a Campsy option. So front line, definitely I'm looking to kind of play a Dom Solanke and a Ollie Watkins, and that's I'm not really keen on doing the true transfers of Foden in and Alvarez in, as then I'll probably have to bench Solanke anyways. So as you guys can see, one free spot left in my starting 11, and it's how the team will basically look dependent on whether I bring in Alvarez or Foden. So I do believe if I bring in Foden, I'll captain him, or if I bring in Alvarez, I'll captain him. So I'm going to pencil in for Foden at the moment just for team structure. But as mentioned, I'll only be kind of Archer against Man City or Gordon against Liverpool on our bench, depending on what transfer I make. So I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'll probably be captaining a Man City asset this week, just dependent if it's Foden or Alvarez, and that's why I want you guys' advice in the comments down below. Now in return for that advice, if you guys have any transfer plans you want to talk through, comment them down below, and I'll try and help you guys out through whatever dilemmas you guys have. As mentioned though, no deadline stream coming up tomorrow. I'm actually flying on Saturday, but don't worry, the team will be finalized and posted before the deadline. But this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And I may see you guys for that Game Week 21 goodness. But for the time being, good luck for Game Week 20. I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.